One of the things we talked about, I think, in our very first conversation about generative AI were concerns around copyright. And I know part of what we wanted to discuss here were around restrictions and corporate responsibilities. We've seen now in the months since that first conversation that there are lawsuits from copyright holders who say, hang on, that your model is fantastic, but it's fantastic in part because you trained it on works that I generated. And copyrighted works there. So I think that is the sort of thing that is likely to raise eyebrows among regulators and lawmakers. Do you have thoughts about that, Tim?
Well, funny story. I spoke in Cleveland a couple weeks ago at MICON, which is the Marketing Artificial Intelligence Conference. About 700 attendees. Easily 5.5, 6 times as many people that were there last year. AI, it's front and center in terms of people's attention right now, as we stated before, but really in terms of, as you said, taking everything by storm. And every single speaker, including myself, we talked about, what is the sacred cow, or what are the things that you as a business have right now that are yours to govern and protect. Data was number one all the time. And second was this notion of your own proprietary trainable models that you have within your organization. And my talk at MICON was all about that. It was about the notion, as you know, of having a customer data platform where you have 100% of your first party data that's being modeled while you sleep, to understand customer journeys, to understand correlations and causal relationships between customers, products, lines of business, just to make you smarter, right? And personalize media and build a whole lot of efficiency in terms of your marketing, your customer experience, and really your business intelligence operations. Well, if you have that, we're starting to really test what it would be like to have a large language model internal to the organization in terms of being able to use natural language to search for insights and to search for audiences that exist within that CDP. And what's funny, what else is in Cleveland? Just about 4 blocks from the hotel where this conference was, it was at the convention center, but 4 blocks from my hotel, the Hilton, right next door to the convention center, is the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And I went in there and they were selling these huge banners that were all part of their Willie Nelson merch that were there. And these big banners just said, write your own songs. And I look at music, right? Just as an example, it's not even Willie Nelson, it's Clint Black. If you were ever a fan of Clint Black writes most of his songs, and he co-writes almost all of them. That's very unlike anything else that comes out of Nashville. There's a huge songwriter contingency. Most of popular country music was written not by the performer, but by a songwriter. And at the end of the day, the whole write your own songs directive from Willie, what I took from that was what I had just heard 4 blocks away from everybody was, if we're going to leverage artificial intelligence, if we're going to show up with differentiated messaging, with a brand culture, with a customer-centric operation, then we don't need to go to a third party and leverage a data set that's pulled from a bunch of public sources, right? We don't need that. Maybe we can use it. Maybe we do need it in a certain capacity, but at the end of the day, the big opportunity, I believe, here is for organizations to embrace artificial intelligence on their terms, to look at the trainability of machine intelligence and machine learning, look at the trainability of it to create something that's very unique and specific to your brand and to your customers' preferences and wants. And I think that is a long last mile, to be honest. I think everybody's excited about opening an account and just sitting there talking to something and having it help them write or help them code, answer questions. Everybody's excited about that. They're talking about how content strategists are going to lose their jobs and how coders, developers are going to lose their jobs. Let's take all that out for a second and let's talk about what human capacity can we extend by implementing this technology internally, right? What is it from a strategic and from a creative and from a visionary standpoint, things that humans can do that, to be honest, machines might be able to do a little bit of at some point, but they will never be able to emulate the way the human mind works and the way that we do this. So I think that's what I firmly believe 2024 and 2025, we will see more companies that are creating their own personas through these language models, if you will, but it'll be a brand persona, something that's specific to them. And I'll leave it there, park that with you for a second, because I think what you were saying before is, in terms of mobile apps or just apps, period, apps provide a certain amount of utility to the consumer. And with that, why not have an assistant that's there, correct? An assistant that's specific to the brand.
Right. And I agree. I think that there's going to be a tremendous amount of work internal at organizations to leverage AI like we've not seen before, to bring together disparate data sources within their organization in a way that looks like you're getting answers from one thing, when in fact it's really perhaps a series of AI tools that are layered on top of that to pull the information together that you need. So maybe that's a good place for us to pause here. We've talked about AI a number of times. I'm sure we'll have another episode coming up soon because the space is changing so quickly. But thanks again, Tim.
Yeah, you bet.